This Sunday, the NASCAR Cup Series heads to the Sunflower State, Kansas. This is the Advent 400 at Kansas Speedway. I'm Robert Young, and welcome to the NASCAR Kansas edition of the Hivecast. Coming up, John Newton and I recap last week's race at Dover, list the driver standings, and give our predictions on who is going to win at Kansas. Joining me again this week is fellow NASCAR fan John Newton. Welcome back to the show, John.
Thank you for having me back.
All right, and let's just dive into our first topic, recap of the Dover race.
Now, this race didn't occur on Sundays like most races. It actually occurred on Monday.
Due to rain delay, which I think we all felt it throughout the week, last week.
Even though I feel like it was a good race, despite it being on a Monday, teams ain't used to that. Teams are used to being back at the shops having their Monday morning meeting. What about you?
It was pretty good. I mean, the long green flag run in the middle kind of got a bit boring, but other than that, it was a pretty good race overall.
Now, major stories is the hometown kids, Ryan and Martin Truex Jr. wins at Dover.
Yes, Ryan Truex getting his first win in the Xfinity Series after running a part-time schedule in that car, right?
He did.
He did? Okay, so he got his first win. I'm very happy for that because he nearly won it back in 2012. Did not do that. So, very happy for the guy. But now for his brother had to fight a little bit harder to get it.
He did with the number one car of Ross Chastain, who once again is in some controversy.
Yeah. Early on in the race, in stage one, he just tapped Brendan Poole in the 15, who went spinning and collected Kyle Larson into the wall.
Then I know in the interview, Brandon Poole said that somebody needs to whoop his butt, talking about Chastain.
Oh boy, I am a little afraid of what happened to Chastain next week.
Well, that's Brandon Poole. Well, I'm going to side with Brandon Poole in this because you can tell Chastain over and over again has wrecked, whether it be on accident or on purpose. And he probably didn't know this, but that's the first time Brandon Poole has made a NASCAR Cup Series start since the 2020 season.
Brendan Poole was in the Xfinity Series for such a long time, and he hasn't been able to show himself in the Cup Series, but now he's getting his chance, and he's just wrecked out in the first stage.
Right, then Kyle Larson dished out a little payback on the one car.
By blocking him when he was trying to catch up to Truex.
Yes, then with 13 laps to go, what brought them back together was Joey Logano lost the tire, spun and hit the wall, bringing out the caution.
Leave it to Joey Logano to have something like that happen.
Then, interesting enough at Dover, only 12 cars finished the race on the lead lap.
Yes, that is a big shocker. I saw that results. That is okay. 12 laps on the lead lap. That just got a little bit excessive.
That shows just how an untimely caution can affect you. Ty Gibbs was the first car lap down, and he was running inside the top 10 for the most part of the day. I think he even reached the top 5.
Yeah, pretty good job by Ty Gibbs in this race.
Now, enough talking about Dover. Let's look forward to Kansas.
Oh yeah, Kansas. It's your typical speedway. It's not really that different from places like Michigan or Chicagoland back when we were racing at that place.
It's a mile and a half.
Yeah.
Like tri-oval type of deal. Now Kansas. What makes Kansas unique is NASCAR lets the driver use the apron because it's difficult to pass there.
Yeah, similar to the dog leg at Phoenix.
Right. Then one other thing about Kansas is last year in the spring race there were so many tire issues that teams really I feel like couldn't prepare for the playoff race there.
Yeah.
Hopefully Goodyear and NASCAR has resolved those issues.
Yeah, that was when they were just introducing the next gen car. I think they mostly have got that under control.
Right. Now, for Kansas, who do you believe was going to be able to secure the victory?
This week? For this next coming week, I'll say I'm going to put a bet on Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch, very solid pick. And with Kansas being a speedway, I mean, well, no two speedways drive the same.
Yeah.
But I feel like...
Yeah, I mean, I know Kyle Busch has won quite a few times there in the past, so... And with his new team, he's already won 2. One at Talladega, which shocked pretty much everyone.
Right. Now we go with someone who has a little bit of momentum riding into this race.
Yeah?
Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney, yeah, that's actually a pretty good pick, too. I mean, he hasn't secured a spot in the playoffs yet, but he's up in the top 5 in point standings, which we should get onto right now.
Right. Now, leading the point standings
is the antagonist of last week's race, Ross Chastain.
Now,
then it's Christopher Bell in second place, who has secured a spot in the playoffs by winning the Bristol Dirt Race.
Third is
man who is retiring this year, Kevin Harvick. Hasn't secured a spot, but third place, doing pretty good.
Fourth place is the previous winner heading to Kansas, Martin Truex Jr.
And the Clash winner. Then we have Ryan Blaney in fifth. You just mentioned him.
Then you have Tyler Road Course Reddick,
who won at the Dakota race and has secured a spot.
Then we have the owner of Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin.
Yep. And then we have Kyle Busch, who won both at Auto Club and Talladega.
Then in ninth is the number 6 Roush Fenway Keselowski racing driver of Brad Keselowski.
Yep. And then finally rounding out the top 10 is Kyle Larson, who has won twice this year. And then some guys who have secured their spots in the playoffs, but have not in the top 10. William Byron,
Joey Logano,
and Ricky Stenhouse, the guy who won the Daytona 500 this year. Can't forget him. Alright, now, John, if people want to find you on YouTube, how can they do that?
I'll leave a comment down in the comment section, then you can, click on the icon. If not, just look up John Newton, that is JON space NEWTON. Now, real quick before we go, what do you think will be... So, Jimmy Johnson has announced 5 races this year. He has already ran the Daytona 500, the race at Circuit of the Americas. He has said that he is going to run the Coca-Cola 600 and the Chicago Street Course. What do you think will be his 5th race this year?
I'd honestly say it ain't going to be the All-Star race.
It's not.
But I honestly think that I think he should go. He would go for the Southern 500 because that's the second most historically significant track on the circuit.
Right. Then you got to think. If you think about 3 Crown Jewel races, the Daytona 500, the Coca-Cola 600, and the Southern 500.
Yes, that's probably. I think he's probably going to confirm it for the Southern 500, which I know is in the playoffs, but he's still going to run it.
Right. Then 3 races around major holidays. The Coca-Cola 600 there
Memorial Day.
The Chicago Street Course, which is on 4th of July weekend this year.
Then the Southern 500 is near Labor Day.
So it makes sense with all that to run the Southern 500.
Yeah, I would say Jimmy Johnson's going to run for the Southern 500. In a throwback scheme, mind you.
Well, there's already been some throwback schemes announced.
Yeah.
For this week.
Didn't you say that Ross Chastain has a UPS car? He's going to be not really UPS, but he's going to throw it back to Dale Jarrett.
Right. Then my personal favorite now of the ones I've seen is actually Eric Jones's throwback to former boss man, mind you,
Richard Petty. Well, it's a 43. They're going to throw it back to Richard Petty anyways, but I'm excited to see that one.
Then William Byron has announced his throwback paint scheme to Jeff Gordon.
You like last year, I bet.
With the type of a goldish car.
Oh, a goldish car.
Then,
Thank you for coming on the show, John. It was a pleasure having you here.
Pleasure having you. Thank you.
This just in, Jimmy Johnson is leaving Chevy? Next up on the Hivecast. Now it's time for a midweek update. Legacy Motor Club has announced that they will be racing in Toyotas next year instead of Chevys. This is very big news for a number of reasons. First of all, Toyota will get the third team that they wanted so badly. Secondly, Eric Jones and Noah Gragson will be back in the Toyota camp. And last but not least, Jimmy Johnson, co-owner of the team, who won all 7 of its championships as a driver with Chevy, will now be working with Toyota. This also could help Legacy Motor Club's performance massively. They haven't done well this season, so this could be the change that they needed. Good luck to Legacy MC and Toyota. Hey listeners, if you have any questions, email them to matthew.collier@lcsd.k12.sc.us. That's matthew.collier@lcsd.k12.sc.us. I'll read all your questions in the next episode. Well, that's all for this edition of the Hivecast. I'm Robert Young saying, crank it up boys, let's go racing!